Jon Favreau is an actor and writer who has carved a niche for himself when he wrote and starred in a picture called Swingers, which did very, very well. And since then, he's been very much in demand, both as a writer and an actor. His latest film, Deep Impact, opened today, and great things are expected of it this weekend. Jon, welcome back to CBS, and thanks for joining us. Now, this picture, Deep Impact, I don't want to give away the surprise ending.
I think you did before.
Well, except, I mean, everybody knows it's about the possibility of an asteroid.
Right, possibility being the operative word.
Yeah.
You said it hits. I guess the commercial shows that now.
Well, it does. I mean, let's face it, the word is out, because remember last year, there was a story in the news that they thought an asteroid was going to strike the Earth sometime in 2028. And in the news accounts, it mentions that there's your picture and another that's about this event. Anyway, I'm told that in the production of this picture, you got to meet Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I got to, well, Spielberg's really like the friend of independent filmmakers everywhere, because he just did Saving Private Ryan. He put Ed Burns in there, Vin Diesel. He always has his eye on the independent film scene.
That's right, he does. That's right.
And he put Vince Vaughn in The Lost World, and he was one of the stars of Swingers, off of seeing Swingers.
Mm-hmm.
And he even, you know, he had sent a message along to me that he enjoyed the film a lot. And when I was so I knew he knew about the film. When I was auditioning for Mimi Leder, who directed Deep Impact, I was in there reading for the role of this astronaut. And I'd never met Mimi before, and it was a big movie. And I've only been really, you know, in smaller films, in the independent films, like Swingers, that...
Which, by the way, Swingers was noticed by a lot of people.
It was noticed by a lot of people,
I mean, it was almost a breakthrough for you with that.
It was great. I mean, it introduced me, thanks to you, and thanks to all the publicity I got off of it. People knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
But in this town, unless your movies make a lot of money,
right,
you're not really in demand, and you don't really call your shots. You could get by and work as an actor, but these big movies really, you know, fill the coffers for the studios. So here I am, trying to break into, like, mainstream Hollywood, sitting in here trying to audition and meeting her, and then in walks Steven Spielberg, because the audition was at Amblin, because he's the executive producer of this thing. He's like, "Jon, hi." And I'm like, "Hi. Great, you know, nice to see you. Hey, how's Swingers going?" "Fine." "Great, who are you reading for?" "Well, the astronaut, Gus Partenza." "Yeah, you did pretty good." "Well, look, I gotta go." "Great." Then he leaves, and then I'm in the audition.
That the operative word is, I gotta go. Yeah.
He got out of there, and I'm like, "Okay, let's read."
Now, you have lost a lot of weight since the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
What have you dropped total?
Well, I'm actually putting on weight now.
Oh, you are?
I'm putting on muscle. I'm trying to put on muscle for. I'm going to be playing Rocky Marciano.
Oh, the heavyweight champion, undefeated.
That's right, undefeated, 49-0. You ruined another ending to a movie for me. Thanks.
Everybody knows that. We all know that. It's part of sports history.
That's right. Yeah, and he was, and the more I learn about the guy, the more interesting it is. Because it wasn't just that he was an undefeated heavyweight champion. Here's a guy who started far too late, was far too small, had no reach, had no athletic ability, so that, you know, they came to me to play the guy. But he had a personality.
And have you learned, you know, tricks of the trade, boxing strategy from researching this?
A little bit. There's a lot of footage now. They have these classic sports footage. Mm-hmm. They have all these cable channels now, and I've seen some of his, you know, well, all the available footage. And he had a very distinct style. He would squat down real low, and he would throw a punch a certain way, and he had a lot of very muscular lower body.
Well, when he threw a punch, I remember as a kid watching with my father, who was a great fight fan, this guy would almost come off the floor.
Yeah, yeah. Because he actually started off as a catcher, baseball catcher, so he had that great lower body strength. And I didn't realize how important this guy was until all the Italians in my family found out I was playing this guy. And all of a sudden, people are like, distant relatives are like very, you know, very courteous towards me, who I never met. And because this guy, you got to remember, before Marciano, the only Italians people knew about were like Capone and gangsters.
That's right.
And Marciano steps up, and here's a man who handles himself with class and dignity, and the entire Italian-American community, you know, could take pride in it.
And rallied behind him.
Yeah.
He became their champion.
Yeah.
Now, give me some little-known facts about Rocky Marciano in real life. I've read that he was careful with the buck.
He was a very cheap guy. He was America's guest, was actually, as Charles Winkler, who's directing the thing, he always refers to him as that. And the big story that I always heard was he had his own talk show called The Main Event, I think. And he would, you know, have guests on, much like yourself, and show some fight footage. But he'd always show up just in like a T-shirt and ratty pants, because he knew that they would have to buy him a new suit.
Right, okay.
Because he'd, oh, I forgot. And it ended up being his demise, because he would go to airports. He would cash in the tickets that they'd give him to fly to different appearances, he'd go to the airport and wait for somebody with a private plane to offer him a ride. And he had a whole network of people, and finally he died in a crash. It's not a very safe way to go.
Yeah. Anyway, when does that picture come out? Are you shooting now?
We're shooting that. I'm getting ready. I'm in training now, and we shoot that in this summer, coming up.
And so how's the pre-shoot diet for Marciano coming along? How much are you trying to put on?
Trying to put on as much muscle as I can right now. He had a big neck. He was a very powerful guy. Yeah. And I'm working with some good people, a trainer named Graham and Jimmy Nickerson, who did all the boxing stuff for Raging Bull and for Rocky. So I'm in good hands.
You're in good hands there. Now, what about when you were a heavier guy?
Yeah.
How tough was it trying to find... I mean, it's tough for a heavier guy to find parts.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of... You know, it's funny, there's a lot of discrimination. If you don't look a certain way, if you're not have a certain... You know, you're not going to read for the good parts. And I remembered I had been called in to play... in the Shawshank Redemption, which was great, because, again, a big movie, and I'm new in town. I'd just done Rudy, which was my first film. And they said, we got a great movie, a great part. You play a prisoner, you get beaten to death. Are you okay with that? I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm an actor. The name of the role is Fat Ass. And I said, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'm an actor. And I go down to the audition.
It's the work. It's my craft.
That's right. Doesn't matter what it's called. And, you know, and the part involved, the screaming fat ass at you and getting beaten to death was the whole part. So I went down to the audition. I mustered up the courage. But I was very mean because when I went in, I pretended to the receptionist that I didn't know what part I was reading. So I said, I'm supposed to read for a guy named Fatas. I don't know what... And I made her tell me, actually, that, no, it's actually fat ass. And then I acted very hurt. And I you know, and then I didn't get the part anyway. But I got a good story out of it.
Yeah, it's a great story. And you grew up, you're half Jewish, half Italian?
Yeah. And my mother's side's Jewish, my father's side's Italian. I grew up in Queens.
Queens, right.
Went to school at Bronx Science up in the Bronx.
Now, wait a second. Why wouldn't you go to school in Queens?
Well, Bronx Science, for those people who don't know, it's a public school. And what's so nice about it is that there are great public schools in the New York City public school system. My parents were both teachers in it, and my grandmother actually still is a teacher in the public school system. And what's great is that it draws like you have to take a test to get in, and once you do, you're around all these other, you know, smart kids from all the different social and economic groups and neighborhoods. And I would go up to the Bronx, and I was lucky enough to get a great education there.
And how would you get from Queens to the Bronx?
You have to take the train, and the train doesn't go right from Queens to the Bronx.
No, I know, you have to change.
You have to go all the way down into the city and go up, and that turned into an education because I get bored easily, and after a while, when I realized I could keep a B average and not go to school every day, I started cutting. And I would get off the train in Greenwich Village and go to all the revival houses and see all the films.
Oh, sure.
And just because, you know, they didn't really have VCRs even when I was, you know, growing up, or tapes, so you'd have to go to these old movie theaters, and I'd see all the Kurosawa films. That was like my film school, really.
Yeah.
It was just a wonderful city to grow up in.
Yeah, terrific. We're talking here with Jon Favreau, who's one of the stars of Deep Impact, which opens today in theaters nationwide. Back with John, you on the toll-free if you're there, right after this short break.